Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, listeners. Just give me 1 minute. Let me share this video on my page so that we can start the conversation. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, friends and family. Today is Saturday, the 8th of May, 2021. The time is just gone about 16 minutes past 4 in the afternoon in Birmingham, England. The discussion is about why Barrow is not the only person to be held accountable, and to explain the economic the economic cartel and the state capture, and the reason why we said why Barrow is not the only person to be held accountable. What can we do to effect that change? Because the power is in our hands, especially us, the privileged ones, the privileged citizens. The power is in our hands. The power is in the hands of the people. But virtue of our privilege, we should take a position of leadership to lead those people to the interests of the state, nation. Because when state capture happens, we have an establishment and established organizations or people that will ensure they survive in order to keep these things as they are to benefit themselves. But what happens is it's not sustainable. Gradually, gradually, something will give, and the peace and stability of that country will completely lose. And to explain this is in every society, we understand that the power belongs to the people and the power is with the people. But always that power is manipulated and taken away from the people because of the ignorance of the people. And that power is sustained in the hands of a group of people because of that power is not being challenged. That power is not being challenged. What happened is we have the minority or informed people, a minority that tends to be challenging their power. But unfortunately, in many cases, this minority might be well-meaning, but might lack the resources or the capacity needed in order to challenge this power, because this power is so powerful. They capture the state. And this power, it's not only the person in government, it's not only the political party in the government, but the political class for itself, the opposition itself. You remove Barrow today. What guarantees you that the next opposition party you support is going to deliver on the interests of the people? You think the people that captured Barrow today, you think they don't know that Barrow is likely to lose this election? You think they are not thinking ahead how to capture the next government? They are calculating. They are calculating. And they gamble. They hedge their bets. Their interest, it's not because of their like Barrow. Their interest is not that they're going to support the next person because they like the next person. Their interest is not that because they care about the people. It's not that they care about the country. And sad to say, it's not even that they're not even smart enough to the point of that they are looking after their interests. No, it's perceived that they are looking after their interests. They think they're looking after their interests. I'm supporting Barrow, or I am going to support the next political party I assume to win in order for me to maintain my wealth. Most of that wealth is created illegally in order not to maintain it only, but to grow my wealth in the expense of social justice, in the expense of the people. And without social justice, there's no democracy. And without social justice, there's no peace and stability in a country. There's no progress. You measure the progress on GDP, the growth of GDP, that's not progress. You measure the progress on some new buildings or new roads or bridges being built, that's not progress. Did the people evolve? Citizens of that country, the people living in that country, did they live in total harmony? Did they live in peace and stability? Are people living with dignity? Are people living with civility? These are the things you measure. You measure it according to the people, welfare of the people. Call it whatever index it is. I don't want to call it happiness index because, I mean, it's subjective. But where social justice thrives, we have systems where the less fortunate are catered for. There are safety nets. There are policies. There is a system to make sure people access to resources. There's a system that people would be empowered, enabled to meet their potentials. If they're good in sports, they will excel in sports. They have opportunity to excel in sports. If they are academic, they have the opportunity, the result, I mean, support, enabling environment to excel in it. If they are technical, they have the opportunity to excel. And society thrives on that. If they are less able, there's a system that supports them to meet their potential. When they become vulnerable because old age or sickness or whatever, there's a system there to care for their condition. That's where society gets. But politics, that's what it's meant to do, to help to define the systems, help to work on to control the systems. Be it democracy, be it whatever. People claim their systems should be the best. Call it any ideology. But if that ideology did not create this environment for people to live in peace and stability, people to live with their freedoms, look, freedom is a God-given right. We cannot compromise and we should not compromise on our freedom. That's why I am completely against anybody who come out to say that, yeah, we'd rather have a dictator and have development. That's no development in the absence of freedom. There's no development absence of freedom. The most important thing in us is freedom. Even God gives us the right to be free. You believe in a religion, you believe in the power of the Almighty God, but end of the day, you offend Him every day and go to sleep and wake up, in fact, have more energy to go and offend Him again. Why does that God not just kill you? Why just God not just, and cripple you or do things to you? No, that God values your freedom. That God values your freedom. I can turn out to be an atheist, say anything, and probably I'll still be healthy. I can still be wealthy. What does that say? For people that believe in God, would expect God to punish me? No, God punishes us for. We punish ourselves for other reasons. We punish ourselves. God gives us the freedom, and that freedom is important. Now, I'm going to get into things. If I say Barrow, why not only hold Barrow accountable? I'm not saying we're not going to hold Barrow accountable. Ultimately, Barrow will be held accountable. But what I want to do here with this program is to take responsibility. And if I say to take responsibility, I mean me and you, because that country is ours. Nobody can make that country better without that means cooperation. But we will come to realize and we come to work with people that we can trust, people that we know that have integrity, people that have the track record, people that have the mindset, people that have the knowledge to lead. We all have knowledge for lead, to lead at a level. But ultimately, that's why when we go out there to elect anybody to office, we make sure that person have what it takes for that office. We should not do it for that person's identity. We should not do it based on that person's region or with region it came from one thing, but we do it for that person would serve the interest of the people. When we are citizens, acquire knowledge. We acquire knowledge to impact. We don't acquire knowledge. What's the point of a country where we people will come out with all the education we talk about or certificate we know about, but the country is run by people. Run, yes, you like it or not. Dusano is one of your presidential advisors. Sidinja is one of your presidential advisors. Adama Barrow is your president, and other people. That party executive is the executive that for your political party. That country, the MPs that you have in there, those are your MPs. They are still representing. These are the people you guys choose to represent your interests. It's our. That's why I said the power is within us. What's the point of that education or all those education we have? That education is not to carry. It's not just to show off. It's not to go and find a job to pay you to take care of your family. That's part of it. But the job you do is about the job you do, what you contribute. Every job you do should be contributing to the greater good of that society. You be a doctor, you be a policeman, you be a soldier, you be a carpenter, you be a driver, whatever you are, it's important. You have to do it well, and you have to make sure you do it to empower the greater good. That job, there are good men. You can be a doctor, you can be all these other professions, and end up being the part of what is breaking that society away. We don't only hold politicians for what happens to us, but we have to hold ourselves accountable, especially us. I mean, us the privilege. What do I define as privilege? If any of you are watching this live, you are privileged. We can measure that as privilege. Privilege means a lot of things. There are some people that don't even have a mobile phone. Mobile phone is unnecessary. I'm not talking about the brand. Mobile phone is necessary to able to connect. For the poorest of the poor would need mobile phone. Poorest of the poor would need connectivity. If we can provide mobile phone and connectivity free for the poorest of our society, we are connecting them to gain knowledge, to have access to information, and able to be connected. Do you know? I mean, many studies have been done showing you where mobile phone, introduction of mobile phones, have made some certain farmers able to even to check prices of the market before they do their harvest. They to do things. Now that mobile phones are put with apps to do a lot of things to improve their everything. It's a necessity. Just to give you an example. To wake up, to even think of tomorrow is a privilege. Some people can't think of the afternoon. They live in so much uncertainty. They wake up without breakfast. They went to bed without being fed. Or they have family not fed. As a parent, we all know what it's like. to be in difficulty, but most of us are privileged to not even know what it's like to, to start contemplating the next meal. No, the quality of the meal we talk about, not whether we can afford the meal, a meal for ourselves or our family, especially us living in the West here, where there are such safety nets. That's why we say we should aspire to build those safety nets. It's not to be based on people going without dignity to ask. Yeah, we can ask if we need help, but we cannot build a society on begging. We can build a society with a system that people will contribute into to make sure when they're in need, that system is there to support them, not to be beggars, not to lose dignity, to do things with dignity. We are privileged. That's the level of privilege we have. But the level of privilege in the Gambia too can be defined differently. Yes, as you define level of privilege in the United Kingdom here, for someone who is settled, someone who's got all their papers necessary to have the right to access every services without fear of being sent back or asking for help. That's a privilege. But the other people, I mean, some people are struggling with their visa. Some people are struggling with other things. That's a privilege. But they still privilege. You take it down to the Gambian level, the same thing. They are privileged to different levels. But the most important privilege is to be able to do things for yourself. At least have this state of mind that you have a bit of stability to be assured of your daily needs or monthly needs. But right now, any conscious Gambian, whether in the Gambia or out, that's why my always argument is Gambians outside the Gambia, the diaspora are in the Gambia, because we are connected to the daily problems, challenges of the Gambia, because of we will be drawn into a whether naming ceremony or an event or anything, school fees, marriage, anything, hospital bills, anything. We are connected to that. How are we not affected? We are connected to these things and our privilege. But one thing today, of conscious Gambians, is not certain of the next year. It's not certain of to the level of some people are worried even of tomorrow because we see this sign of instability. That's why I use the word conscious. Not people that would just jump on issues or people that just would take anecdotal evidences for other things, but people who can critically see the signs and understand where we are today. We are not living in a stable society. Stability is not there. Stability is not only the absence of war, no, but the guarantee of the systems of cohesive society. We? No. Social cohesion, is it there? Do we have anything to enable that? No, because we came from something, a dictatorship. We needed reforms in order to guarantee that kind of society. We need to build foundations. And part of that is that system of what the political system we have, that democracy, to build in order to build social justice and democracy of freedoms again. Then the other thing that comes up with democracy, the check and balance systems and representations and other rights. And these are things. But again, why all this in order for economic development? Why economic development so that we can live in a decent way and manner and in a sustainable way for generations and generations and generations. This is absent. But as we have privilege, why do I say we own it to us? The system is already there since independence. The state always been captured. From Jawara, why do we have the problem? We have certain people capture the state. And today I'm just going to talk about the people with economic interests. You have, I mean, different spurs. You have this is about the private sector. You have the public sector, and the private sector and the public sector are always in cahoot in hijacking the state. The public sector are the politicians, are the civil servants, and people who work within the administration of power. The private sector are the people that sells and trade and control the economy. And the social sector, the civil society, and the traditional cultural sectors out there. But as I said, us for privileged people, when they capture this. Now, if we think that we go to elections every time with different political parties, it can be millions, 10, 2, 3, and expect change because we are going to elections, we expect change. No, yes, we might have change of leadership, people that we put into power, but would the system change? Will our conditions change? Would things improve? No, because of we have especially the economic power. That's why it's important to talk about these people. The economic power, the private sector, the economic capital will always make sure they control that. They determine that. They control that's why in democracy we look at funding, political party funding, and all those kind of things. In the absence of that, in the absence of a perfect situation, we work with that. And that's where we influential people come in to improve things, to make things better in order to bring about change. We participate in it. We take our resources, ideas, and everything together to support ideas, to bring about ideas, support ideas, to enable and elect people that represents our values, that will bring about that change. To make sure those people we support are not hijacked. That's why we have a role to play. If we leave it to the politicians, let's say present politicians, the UDPs, the GDCs, and all those kind of things, you think if they come in power, they will do what you want them to do? They will not turn up to serve the interests of this minority cartel members that control the system. They control the system. They ensure the nepotism goes on. They ensure the tribalism goes on. They ensure the dictate narrative. We blame politicians, but these people control politicians. We blame the people, these people control the people. Now, in order for us to avoid this, we the privilege that claim to have the moral values, that have love for country, should stand up to work with the politicians in order to insulate the politicians, to make sure nobody hijack it, because we cannot bring about this change apart from going to elections. Yes, it's important. We cannot bring about this change without politics. We are not talking about where we talk about we're going to get up, we're going to fight them. No. That's where other people will come in. Che Guevara and others believe that we are not taking guns, we're going to fight them. No, we are not there. We have moved past that. We gone past that. We should not even think of that or aspire for that. It's difficult, but it's less so difficult than thinking of the other alternative. We should not get that. And if we are not careful, if we don't do the right to use the democratic space we have, the temporal peace, in order to develop ourselves and do the right things, we will get there. That's where we talked about it. That's how it failed. We failed. We went to a dictatorship. We knew, but we have the know the experience we had in the dictatorship. We know where our rights were taken and everything else is coming out. But that's why when we come together, we say we need to focus in order to build this foundation, to build these things and build our people. We failed that. Now we are here. We're going to elections now. Now it's a continuity. We didn't have reforms continuity. Now we have to make sure we put the brakes on and elect the right people and go on. But let's explore. I want us to work and to look at this thing. Let's look at the state capture. Nigeria since independence. Coup d'etats, coup d'etats, coup d'etats, coup d'etats, coup d'etats. Nigeria have all the wealth. Nigeria have all the resources, the human resources, every resources to just live as a giant of Africa, to become a world power. We saw the Asian tiger economy, small countries. Japan came after the Second World War with nothing, absolutely, built where Japan is today. You think they're better than Nigerians? So Nigeria have more potential to do that. We see the state of small state of Singapore. We see a small state of South Korea. After the Second War, came from nothing. They came from a war. We've seen the Germans with what happened after the Second War. But how did they muscle up to develop themselves back to where they are? You think they're superior to us because of their skin? No. We can go and take different civilizations, different people, how they can. But why Nigeria? I'm taking Nigeria, and because it's the worst case. With all the weather, look at the standard of people, how people live. Look at that country. It's war all over the place. With the coming of democracy, and people say, oh, the army should come back. Why anybody would try proud of a dictatorship to say that it's better than be free and to determine the person that governs it. That's where Nigeria is today. And Nigeria is likely to get back to a dictatorship, likely to get back to military rule. If not, Nigeria will completely, secessions will happen in the south, secession will happen in the north, and the middle belt will might even call for independence. Nigeria might be separated to 3 states, 4 states, or 5 to 6 states. And it should not happen. If the United States can be together after the civil war, then every other state, these things could be together. Nigeria can be together. Then they can be together. And the problem is not the people again. With all that is happening, you don't blame the northern people alone. You don't blame the southerners alone. You don't blame the middle belt alone. They are all in it together. They all have elites that are on top there in the military, in the business, in everything else, working together and just, not working for thinking that they're working for their interests, but forget about the national interest. That's where Nigeria is today. We have war in the north, war in the south. Country is not stable. The economy is not working right. They have all the resources. They have oil. They have different things. But the country is not working. They have the population. They have their own market. Even if they don't export, there's enough to. For them to consume. They have enough consumer market to produce on all these things. But no, it's not developing because the state is captured. It's the same people from independence to now. The same people govern that country. The same families govern that country. And the level of criminality you see, you don't excuse them, but you understand why this level of criminality on the other side, because of the state is captured on that. Now, same people will be fighting because of religion, people fighting for other things. It's not religion, it's not because they're fighting for resources. But on this top here, these people have monopolized everything. They marry among themselves. Yes, the big guys up, they marry among themselves. Billionaires marrying billionaires, millionaires marrying millionaires, and even Christians and Muslims are marrying on that level, but Christians and Muslims on that level are fighting the ignorance. But these people are doing everything. They have everything. The healthcare and everything else catered for their schools and everything for their family because they go and seek that outside. They don't have it in the country. They don't have the best universities. They don't have the best. There's nothing best they have in their country, but they can afford those best outside. And these people are billionaires. How can you become a billionaire in a country when you don't have good universities, when you don't have good schools, when you don't have good healthcare? How can anybody, a billionaire, not a Nigerian billionaire, a billionaire, how can you be counted or people be counted the richest people on earth when that country is just, what they call, just gutter? That's what happens. Give you another example here. In case, let's just move into the case of Gambia. We where we are today and how we're going to get out of this. We know when the Adam came to power. Yes, as aspect of the economy, from the whole form of economy he controlled. He ended up doing that. But before Adam came to power, some of the reasons there was an economic cartel. That economic cartel, in short, people were people live in poverty, prices were manipulated, the system was manipulated, and this cartel involved Gambians, involves foreigners. It had foreigners and Gambians. But just cut it short, they were a castle and they control commodities. They make sure everything they do. And the biggest business partner they have is the government. It's government. Government is their business, biggest partner. Government create an environment for them. because they control the government, the power, in order for government to leave them alone and create an environment for them to thrive, to do whatever they want. I mean, they dominate markets, they control markets. Now, the average Gambian cannot grow out of the level they are. You cannot grow. You have to be behind them. You have to depend. Few that come out of their suits will end up joining them because you have to join them. You have to join the club, be part of them in order to thrive. Then the limited. It was a limited pool, small limited pool, controlling everything. When in that country, in countries where it's governed right, the people who are artisans, people who are skilled artisans, you create an economy, policies. People who are artisans can become everything. They meet their potential. They can be millionaires, billionaires, if they choose to pursue, to acquire wealth from their profession. If they just inspired to, I mean, to get a living and maintain a sustainable living, they will have that. Academics can be anything. Anybody, and any profession could be something. But no, everything is neglected. And power is controlled. The vast majority of people would be kept in poverty in order to be controlled and ignorant to be controlled. Few schools will be created, or those schools will be even private schools. They are not accessible. Education would be for the few. Now, if you from poor family, very smart and everything, you have a challenge. You could have been a doctor, but probably you end up being a nurse. A nurse is very important, but people should be free to pursue. People should have an environment, create an environment. People be empowered to pursue what they choose to pursue. That environment they want to be the greatest. How come we don't have enough of this? We could have enough all that. It's not that we haven't got the resources. No, the resources are diverted to cater for the few percentage, 1% of the population. And a system is put in place to maintain it that way. And regardless political party they come, they control us. We'll get to that later. Yaya Jammeh came and controlled power and, and did not allow the economic cartel to control him. No, he used the power to control the economic cartel, to control the market, and he took over everything. He took over literally everything, but other people were given a little breathing space. You have to support his hold on power. You have to support. Have a little, and if you wish, again, the importance of it. If you wish, he can be in business with you, empower you for a while, and take everything off you. And we all knew the relationship he had with Amadou Samba, the relationship he had with different people that end up even dying, been killed, or even frustrated and died because he took everything of them. You have to be something, you have to gain something, you have to come through Yajame. That was a fact. You want to open something, you want to do something, you have to come through Yajame. Yajame drives through and saw a thriving business. Who owns this business? He will come in, take the business, or come in and compete that business and make sure he create an environment that that business will not go. The only thing I don't know of is Yajame running a restaurant, but he had run almost every business. He took the state enterprises and make it his own. Now he went into this into, I mean, that was it. But we have people like Amadou Sama. We have other people. Amadou Sama was well known. But at times, even Amadou Sama would be wrong. But latter part, Amadou Sama was smarter than Jammeh. Today, a billion dollar was in an account. And for all what we know, most part of that money is the money, part of the money that they walked out. When Yaya Jammeh was doing the arms deal, when Yaya Jammeh took the planes, those the airline, the planes from Victor Boot, there was a company called Red Air, registered by Babajo. but it was a Red Air. Those were the planes. Amadou Sama was part of those people that created the airline. Later, they stopped that airline and they want to divert that. They stripped most of those planes, they stripped them at the Banyan airport and sold them off, sold these papers. But arms dealing, Amadou Sama was, he was the manager, the finance side. I mean, drug trafficking, Amadou Sama was aware. He was part of he was a fan. Anything behind them, Amadou Sama was aware of. Conflict diamonds and everything else, and other people, you see. And obviously, Babajo people who said, but Babajo was not wealthy from bringing money from Libya. When he came from Libya, he was nobody. It was through his business with Yajame, he became what he was. The power Yajame vested from, the resources Yajame gave him. You see, now, these are the things that happen. It went on like that. Yajame left. Now we said no. What we started from, we want to bring back. And Gambians to realize again, Gambia started during colonial days, and Gambia it's always found by trade. Niger was found by trade. Look, the colonial powers, the king never sent soldiers to look for land and fight and take that land. The king sent out people with knowledge. Pin sent out traders to look for markets and resources. Explorers went to explore, to learn about their environment, further down to other continents, how to get to other continents. That's how they explore. Whether how to get through the ocean, how to do this, go to places. Okay, what is here? They write everything about the place. They make a report. The people are like this. They are strong. They are that. When they needed slaves, they know. Oh, slavery was in Europe. No, we need more and we need stronger. We need ones that can live in this condition, Africa, because they've been there already. They know about us. Then they try to understand the way we govern ourselves, the way we relate to each other. We relate to a tribe. Okay, they relate to us as tribe. This is the way they elect each other. This is okay. If we want to get to them, how do we get to them? Power is vested to who? Power is how do these are things you understand. That's how Gambia evolved through trade. Gambia was divine because of trade. The river, navigation. That's why Gambia. The location, the Atlantic. Slavery. But again, other trade. Then we have other people coming. Then Lebanese came centuries. The Lebanese are not new. They are us. They are part of us. Yes, they are. They are always be foreigners, just as they will always be foreigners of every type in that country. And many foreigners will become citizens and voucher of how is divine in constitution. But that's how we evolved into things. But what we heard, we said, okay, now Yajam is gone. Now we have to do reforms. Reform this. But did we have that? No. That's where the problem started. That's why I said we have to hold accountability, but not only Adam Barrow. Let's start from Adam Barrow. Why is it important? You see, because the most important part of it is the power. The power. The power is not the strength of Adam Barrow as his person. The power is not the strength of Adam Barrow because of his knowledge or anything. The power is what we vest on him, the law, the constitution, what the constitution says he can do or he can do. And the constitution gave him a lot of powers in order for him to be effective to serve our interests. We did not give Adam Barrow the power or anybody the power to enslave us or treat us wrong. That's why we vest power on him, but the ultimate power is with us. We have other articles in the constitution and with the other natural laws within us as human beings that if we are completely not happy with him, that's why in the constitution we have elections. But even elections we have what we call impeachment. You can impeach him. All these things are bad. That's why we have the judiciary separate from his position as the power, the executive. The judiciary can hold him to account. We have the legislature, we have the parliament can hold him to account. Ultimately, those things would not even hold into account if we, the people, don't make sure those people are independent and work. We have seen the legislator is completely, he went in and completely useless. Now, we can't get anything from the legislature. Everybody is, or every, it's politicized. I blame him mostly for that because we have seen him advance. Go after these people and bribe them. That is impeachable. But not only that. Now, the only thing we have to say, the judiciary seems to be delivering. Judiciary seems to be delivering. We have seen a lot of rulings that came to the favor of the people. The power we gave him vested on him, and that power dictates a lot. That's why ultimately he'll be held accountable. The buck will stop with him. But when everything finishes, now we narrow it down. We're going to narrow it down to the economy. What did Adam Barrow do with our economy? This is where it becomes interesting. And let's say in the most important part of trade is finance. You might talk about your ideas and everything, but if you don't have what it takes to finance the business will not thrive. Let's start here. President Barrow, with his administration, has continued the practice of working with the cartel to financially defraud the system and help unscrupulous business people to gain advantage in winning government procurement and pay kickbacks to the agents facilitating this corruption. This is a statement I made. I cropped this up from something I'm working on. Adam Barrow. My statement is President Barrow and his administration have continued the practice that we know from Yajam. And, and that practice we know that everything Gambia would have to go through Yajam. And Yajam would do everything to gain from it. And this practice is to work with the economic cartel. And this economic cartel are foreigners and citizens of the Gambia. And they are from different nationalities. He doesn't care who they are. What he cares about is what he gets from it. And they go out to defraud the system by having winning contracts, by selling, trading, by avoiding regulations, avoiding to pay taxes, evading taxes, and other things in order to make more money. And why would Adam Barrow do that? Because of he wants to be wealthy. He wants to be given money, kickbacks, and people that facilitate the kickbacks. That's why not only Adam Barrow. Adam Barrow does not go and do the deals. He have permanent secretaries, he have other people. He have people that wants to do this. Those people too should be held accountable. But it's very convenient for Gambians. If you hold Adam Barrow accountable, they're happy. But if you mention anybody else as if Adam Barrow doesn't have a family too, anybody else, oh, it's my family. Oh no, do you have evidence? That's what they say. Continue. The president regularized this act within the system by appointing a permanent secretary for investment at the office of the president, bypassing the government agencies created to handle investment matters. And so he has absolute control over the entire business transactions in the country. What did Adam Barrow do, which was not right? He makes sure the system, even that the IMF follows. Let's say Jawara was lost control, and these people that he appointed, and some of them elected, decided to take the power vested on them and just do what they want. We don't have any evidence to say Jawara personally was out there with these unscrupulous people taking kickbacks. No, not one evidence we ever heard that Jawara have been taking kickbacks. But in this case, just as the Yajame used to do, but Adam Barrow even made it worse because he appointed permanent secretary for investment. When we already have independent agencies diaper. When we have the Minister of Trade to look into investment and trade matters, now he decided to have one. Why did he do that? So that officially anything that happens in the country or investment coming to the country will have to come through him, so that he can make sure he determined to have control and have money from it. And Barrow is motivated to be wealthy. That's all. He doesn't care about the what happens to them. This is why we are in what we are now. But how did we do? How did he do that? Continue. President appoints his family and friends in key positions as member of the board of directors and chairpersons and goodwill ambassadors. And one of those closest friends is Sheikh Ahmad Jigo. One of those closest friends is Sheikh Ahmad Jigo. Go and find out how many boards does Sheikh Ahmad Jigo sit in. How many boards? Do you know whose interest is sitting there? Barrow. Barrow. And he appoints his family members and friends. Recently, we hear about Njaga Sani. Some call him Amadou Sani. That now he's just like Pa Bojang of Yajan. But there are other family members. His first cousin is appointed to head. He's the MD for the procurement authority. You know how important procurement is. This guy is the head of the procurement authority. Malam something. He's his first cousin. And he only happened to be there, not because of his qualification, because he's related to Barrow and he's serving Barrow's interest. This was the person Barrow was trying to use to force the IEC to select a particular person or particular company to provide our electoral material. But because of the IEC stood their ground, Barrow did not get away with that. How much goodwill ambassadors do you know? So many. And most of these people have nothing good. They don't have quality, they don't have anything. But they would be appointed by Barrow, so that Barrow they go and scout out people to bring to him. And we have seen the report of Mustafa Dabo when he talked about this, how some of these people started to come to State House to meet Barrow. And and that's what Barrow created. And most of these people will be board members in corporations, different corporations. Now they will not there to look after the corporation to make sure they perform well, no, so that they can take decisions that favors Barrow. And businesses, Barrow can direct a business or whatever it is, what Barrow wants, they will do that. That's why the country is not working. Things are not working out. This economic culture. I say, Siama Jugo, who sits in many corporate boards as chair or a board member, looking after the interests of the president, making sure any lucrative deal that happens will benefit the president. Not only that, these Gambian individuals, I'm talking about the Gambian individuals here. I'm not talking about the foreigners here. I'm talking about us Gambians. That's why we said we should hold each other accountable. Because the minute you hold them accountable, it's a problem. You can talk about Barrow, but the minute you talk about board members and other people managing that and others, there's a problem. We want to think that Barrow is the only corrupt person. No, he appoints people to do it for them. The ones that refuse to do it for them, they're out of his boss, as you said. Civilizedly been transferred into civil service, the foreign service. And the ones that want their salt will just say, I don't want it. That's not my expertise. Continue. This Gambian individual associating with the president in the corruption in the financial industry and the and the foreign business individuals are the main economic cartel controlling the country economy and acting as patrons of the president political party. These people, Gambians and non-Gambians, who are who form this called the economic cartel, who have access to the president, who deals with the president. Their main business and profit is made because of their relationship with the president, be in tax avoidance, be in being given contracts, be in creating markets and different things. There are many ways they do it. Corruption is different because of the president would or association with the president. These are the same people that will give money to the president, that will support the president's political ambitions and all the things. All government public enterprises are controlled by economic cartel, acting within the structures of the organization in capacity as board members, clients of the state corporation. They will anonymous power that influence the appointments of senior operational executive and heads. You'll be surprised. Even the managing directors, some of them, or most, some of them, the reason they maintain their position is because of this cartel. The economic party cartel are so powerful. They are the ones that sit in the boards. If you understand corporations, the boards are very powerful. The board decide, the board chairman and the board members would decide even the future of the MD. They're so powerful. How the operations work. The MD reports to them. The MD doesn't even report to the president or the line ministry. It reports to them. They work with the MD in other things to work. Now, if you want to control that industry, that corporation, you control this thing. That's the power the president has to appoint these people, and the president appoint these people in order to serve his interests. And he can always use them to do what they want for this. And these people are they are part of the cartel. Some of them are not businessmen in the boards, but they are permanent secretaries, they are something else, but they even become permanent secretaries because of the cartel. Some of them, the cartel pay their school fees, some of them, the cartel pay their university fees, or the cartels vouch for them and guarantee them to get to where they are. They are controlled by the cartel, or the cartel is giving them, you see, some more, paying for their children's school fees, or giving them corrupting them. Now they do what the cartel want. The cartel control them in the way. Then the board members are part of the public, but the president controls that. They are the clients. They are the people that do business with the corporations. Let's say in the case of Social Security, in the case of DRA, in the case of Ganta, in the case of Nawek, who are the big clients? Procurement. Who supplies Nawek? Petrol. Who supplies Nawek? Spare parts. Big business. It's not a small business, no. It's the cartel. Who are the biggest consumer of Nawek products, service? Big businesses. Are we sure that these big businesses are paying Nawek what they should be paying Nawek? Do we? Are we sure? No. Most of them don't pay their bills. These are the same people that supplies Social Security. These are the same people that to pay contributions for their staff. These are the many. You check it to Gumpel and everywhere else. They are the main clients, bigger clients. But they're so powerful in that they determine people that operates the company. They depart. They make sure they have the managing director control and the board. The board controls the managing director, make sure they ensure the kind of managing director they want. They ensure even the ministers they want. Some of the ministers relied on this cartel in order to be minister. It's not because of they have political bargain or anything. They rely on this cartel. They make them ministers. Even time of Yahya, we know most people become ministers because of this cartel. That's why you can see the proportion of ministers in the cabinet always would favor the cartel. Non-cartel associates don't really make the cut, or they don't stay long in cabinet. Now they control the board members, and if you control the board, the money, now they control the operational system. As the director of finance, you control. The director of HR, you control. The director of audit, you control. You make sure people appointed to these people are serving the interests of the economic mafia, the cartel. Now, this is how they hijack financing. Finance. We'll get to the other side. This is how they hijack the operations. They the corporation and turn ensure that and that why they do that to ensure that they have um they have control over this so that their business will thrive. They make wealth in that way. But the president benefits from it because these people end up giving kickbacks to the president. That's why when you ask how come Barrow is so wealthy, it's in many ways, but this is one of the ways. And gain and in this not only give kickbacks. Remember, these are the same people that would act as patrons to the president. These are the same people that would support the president, and they go and buy media houses. You think some media houses are bought by Barrow? No, they are controlled by the cartel. Barrow will not go to a media house, and some might be, but I'll tell you, in most cases, there's a businessman out there taking care of a media house. There's a businessman taking care of some social media platforms. There's a businessman taking care of some activists. There's a businessman, taking care of VI companies. This businessman taking care of that's the same thing that happened in Jawar time. There's a businessman doing that in order to support political ambition. You see, until we understand this, we don't understand how the state is captured. That's why I'm going to the financial aspect of it. The economic cartel members are in control of finances, the consumer services, and the regulators of financial services. They don't only control the corporations. You talk about PURA, what we call consumer services. They control it. They ensure the MD, they ensure the people work is the same. Every corporation did. They ensure they control the financial service regulators, the central bank. Gambia, we don't have an independent financial service operators. That's why it's important to have that. But in the Gambia, the central bank is mainly the regulator in that country. It has the regulatory powers. Yes, you have probably you said the MPs have sort of oversight authority on others, yeah. But as a financial business, they control everything. And because of they sponsor political parties, and not only Barrow now, they can sponsor candidates and make sure too they have control over our parliament. You see, they capture every bit of what should be independent to move. Now, our police, you see, I am not saying, and if I'm saying this, I'm not saying every MP. If I'm saying, if I'm not saying every managing director, if I'm saying this, I'm not saying every director. Let us be clear about this. But I say mainly that's how they influence them. Even the police, they will control anywhere there's influence in order to be untouchable. They will not only control the president, but the entire system we have to monitor, to oversee situations, to regulate situations, they will control by putting their people in it. They will control the police that they will control even to control the police that look after the street. That's how they do it. The economic cartel members are in control of the financial service consumers, financial consumer services. They control the regulated financial services. They use their wealth to sponsor events and act as patrons to the arts. When you have a music, when you have a fundraiser, when you musicians, you want to do anything, who do you run to? You run to the cartel because they are the patrons. Chief patron, chief guest of honor, who are they? Do people go and look for the chief patron, chief guest of honor because of their moral compass? No. Even they could hell. And most of these people, who do you find them? They serve as the patrons for our sports. Football field teams, they own football teams, own, or they sponsor them, they influence them. That's another way they do the influence. Culture, our culture, our mission. Jaliba Kuyate. Do you think have Jaliba Kuyate ever sang someone because he's a good person? Muskana Dega Jaliba Kuyate praise me because of he's a good character. No, because he gives. I'm not saying that some of people that give might not be good characters, but that's not the good character is not what he looks for. He doesn't care what you are. You become a president today, a minister today, a businessman today who he knows that you will give money. He will give. Not only Jaliba Kuyate though, but our missions. If I say mission, culture, and also they control all this. They control our social influences. Yes, out of experience, I'm telling you. They try. And they have many ways of doing this. I'll give you a typical example. Some of them might use their siblings, even their wives. Their wife will call you and say, oh, and they praise you. They might not even like you. They might not like things that you say. And they say to you, hey, your mom doesn't dig. Your mom, hey, you sign nothing you dig. And this is even time of your age, they will do that. Some small jikat, sign nothing mula dig. One small jikat, sign nothing mula dig. It's mainly women doing it for their husbands. That's why I start that. What that does to you, they undermine and back of your mind. If you want to correct, call them up or anything, you will not. But in fact, you turn to be at their PR and defend them on social media platforms. It's effective. Social media is effective, but they will make sure they control it. That's why you see some of our brothers and sisters. 1 minute they go after someone, the next minute they champion them, or you see them championing certain people. And contrary, knowing that that's not true. They know that person is not what they say is, but that person is controlling them, influencing them in doing what they do. They do it in many ways. They use their brothers, their sisters, their friends. And in some cases, not only that, they give money, gratitude. We know of people that fly from here and go their hotels and everything is taken care of. We know that. Some of us been offered that. They even offer you tickets, even time of year. As Moraka, Ninjam Dakar, Yo Dakar, Yo, even they offer you things. They control. They know how important it is. They control social media. They control social influences. By doing things, PR, and they call it social responsibility. They control religion. Gamo, Juma, Bil Juma, Gamo, hey mom. But every day, most of what he does is keeping you poor, keeping society poor. This, that's what they do by supporting the president, by supporting politicians that are not real. You never see them support a good politician because of their good. You never see them support individuals, Gambians, because of they are brilliant, they are good, they are damning to create a greater good. Go and look at the state of the schools they attended. But these people, they can build 3 Jumas, 4 Jumas, or Jack or whatever it is. The schools that made them who they are, you will never see that because for that it's not recognized. The Jumas will be more popular. And because I have mindset too, they think that they can build a Juma to make up for things that they have done wrong. But again, to control society. Because people have faith and be, oh, Ben the place for I Juma. Now I have excuse everything Ben does. because of Resamba Juma. Do you hear these people providing water for people? How many? Most of the water projects you see, who are the ones providing them? Medium and poor people. Medium and poor people. Some of these people, with their riches, they could provide water everywhere else in their rural village. Go and see where they come from, because we all come from rural background. If it might be your father or your grandfather or yourself, must be someone. We all have a village. We said that's my ancestral place. Go and look at that. They will not do that because it's insignificant for them. They don't do it for the good for society. I'd rather come and put a jaka in Sarakunda, where we have many jakas of Juma. I'm not against Sampa Jaka or Juma. Well, I'm saying that we have so many of them. But you could have give some people, this thing or empower people to create. Most of their corporations don't do anything for the youth to develop the youth, and that's what see. But some do, and that person that this happens. All the thing they do is for themselves. When their corporation is to serve them, but to create that people come in and go. No, they control everything to over control for them. Their riches, they to wealth and everything. And this is what, when we look at it, and a typical example of this, you can see it in many ways. But let's move to some things that had happened that I've discussed on, and I'll show you the evidences I'm talking about and more related more. And the issue about I've talked about President Barrow visiting. I've talked about President Barrow visiting the petroleum storage facility and Gum Petroleum. I'll talk about that one. And then something else I need to talk about and just give you an example. I'm going to go through the posts I made. And I want to make certain things clear. Because when you write this post, you don't want to write too much. You just try to point to certain things. Some people benefit from it because they understand the environment that operate. But some people will not get much out of it. But having a discussion like this, one can go into detail for people that doesn't understand greatly what is have transpired around that environment. We would get understand it in detail. I wrote this post. I said, "Good morning, Gambia. Today, the 7th of May, 2021. I was alerted to another serious economic sabotage ongoing at the office of the president, involving the president and his Senegalese handlers." Okay, I'll start this one. Why this? And I say Senegalese handlers, and I will make very clarity here. I'll make clarity when I get to those points. Because I don't want people to misunderstand when we say Senegalese, to take it to be Senegalese as the people. No, these are unscrupulous people that benefit themselves and represent themselves. Yes, by virtue of what they do to benefit the economy of Senegal. But the Senegalese government, as a government who are doing a lot of development, that is, benefiting teaching their people and their country, and to an extent taking over our markets and other things. But that's what country do. I don't blame Senegal for that. If we do what we should do, we can all share the same market and benefit mutually. But if we don't do that, I'm not blaming Senegal. But I don't want it to be an anti-Senegalese thing. Again, the citizens I'm calling out, the Senegalese citizens I'm talking to, it's not the 14 million or 16 million Senegalese I'm talking about. No, these are individuals. These individuals are not doing it purposely for the 16 million of Senegalese. Yes, part of what they have would benefit because they take their profits back to Senegal. It will benefit the Senegalese economy and other Senegal. But they do it because they are not even champions in their own country, but they are patrons to the president. That is Macky Sall. Just as we have the state capture with Barrow, Macky Sall is state captured. And other government that came before Macky Sall were state captured, and the same people would try to capture even Usman Sonko if it comes to government. I explained this to say, um, and again, this is something. That's why I said when we talk about people, we don't when we talk about systems or institutions, we don't talk about everybody. Within the system, we have good people, and majority of them are good people. It's not put to their fault. They are not delivering or things are not being delivered. They have a problem with their capacity. They have this is what the intentions are right. They want to do good. And in this case, we talk to people who are within the system who cares about the system. And knowing that if they keep quiet, these things, if they keep quiet, these things can get out of hand and Gambia will lose. That's why they talk to us for us to talk about it, to stop it. To stop it. That's what we are after. And these people are within the system. They are at the president of it itself, talking to us about this. And they've been doing consistently whatever they said. That's why we rely on what they say. And I'll go to the proof of what they said to us and what came out. Our government is held in ransom by Senegalese intelligence. They control the entire businesses of the president in the interest of Senegal. Senegalese intelligentsia means, I'm not talking about the secret service of Senegal. These are kind of broad-based people of intellectual capacity that have influences. Some of them are businessmen, some of them are marabouts, some of them are cultural artists, and so on. They did control the argument, in fact, at a level. We're not going there. We keep it relevant here. This intelligence are in control of Barrow businesses. And we will name some of them and explain how it works. Most influential ministers and head of parastatal are controlled by Senegalese mafia, and now they are linking up some of our major business people, extending their influence. Okay, what is saying here is there's an intelligence, Senegalese people, intelligence here, which is new, because the way Yajama used to do it was control absolutely everything. When Yajama had issues, dealing with Senegalese, he still have tried to control things. But in this case, Barrow is not sophisticated one. All what Barrow sees is what he gets, the brown envelope, the brown envelope. The damage it does to the Gambia, Barrow doesn't care, Barrow cannot see. You care about something that you know. He doesn't know the implications. He believes in Ben Suarez saying that I will come and take over this. And I'll create million jobs. I'll create thousands of jobs. I'll do this, I'll do this. I'll invest 15 billion. He does not his president to do that. That's why we have an investment authority. People that study the business plan, look at the claims and everything else, and give license accordingly. No. Now they go to the president and but because of he's got the envelope, he's happy. Yes, we do that. We have a big poultry. The poultry they're gonna invest $15 million. Poultry, $15 million. We gotta employ 2,000 citizens to do what? Pluck chicken? That's why I understand. He doesn't know those people background. Are they drug dealers? Are they using this business as a front? Of those things, he cannot do those due diligence. You need the gypsy to do this. They have the intelligence aspect of going through someone to check their profiles, to check their background. If Suleiman Swai go to Gambia today and try to do the gypsy, will look at Suleiman Swai's background and understand, oh, Suleiman Swai was mentioned or is controversially involved in some financial crimes in the United Kingdom, or into drugs, or into this, or into that. Then this Suleiman Swai coming here to claim that he's going to do this, we should be careful. In this nature of things we're doing here, the licensing would not shouldn't be given Suleiman Suarez. Suleiman Suarez should not be given the access to financial services because of the background of Suleiman Suarez, not because of his fuller, not from Bakau or it's because of his background, his character, and the things, and to protect the integrity of this institution. We have to make sure this. The president doesn't do that. He doesn't care about that. What he thinks that is benefiting, he's got to get envelopes. And Suleiman, and that person, that businessman, that Senegalese might even tell him, I know a great Marabu, or I am related to this Marabu in Senegal. I am this. That's all that goes. That Marabu is part of an intelligentsia. That's why we said an intelligentsia, Senegalese intelligentsia, that's what we mean. That Marabu is part of the intelligentsia. They control. This intelligentsia control. And they're controlling the business. And now, they control the ministries. I'll get to the other side, how they do this thing. But they are now smart enough, they are thinking of trying to get some Gambians as partners. Because what happened is they realized the anti-Senegalese sentiments. There's a big anti-Senegalese sentiments now in the Gambia. Now they want to take cover to operate using Gambians as a front. I am not going to go into that yet because there are some Gambians named. Because as I said, I am very responsible in this. I am not going to name because someone told me. I believe that something is going on, but I am waiting to see the evidence of those people getting into business. And what I heard, this guy said to me, they are trying to link up with some Gambians to have a front now because of the anti-Senegalese sentiments growing in the country. What Barrow have created because of the unscrupulous Senegalese that he have empowered. We have no problem with Senegalese citizens coming to the country, living in the country, doing well, and respecting the laws of that country. We have no problem. It's the unscrupulous businessmen. On ministers, on ministries actually, not ministers, ministries, and obviously ministers. These ministries are finance, external affairs, minister of works, defense, minister of lands. These ministries, they have very direct influence, according to the soul. And I will tell you one thing. During Yaya Jammeh days, the Senegalese intelligence, not the intelligence, the Senegalese government had a lot of control in State House. Lot of people that work in that State House. Now, so the particular woman that Yaya Jammeh employed, and that woman was actually later recruited by the Senegalese intelligence and was reporting live to Senegal what was happening in their country. It's to their interest. And that's why intelligence is very important. There are certain people who work for Gambia government. I'll tell you, they will be compromised and they'll be working to the interests of Senegal because of this. That's a fact. And we have to be very careful with these things, and I'll explain that when we get saved. But these ministries are influenced, and you know why they are influenced. The Minister of External Affairs, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Works, the Defense, and the Minister of Lands. How important are these things? And these people have affiliation, and their character is a character that they can easily be influenced. But they have influence in the Minister of Tourism as well, because of again their interests. With the Minister of Justice, Energy, Agriculture, Communication, these are weak links. They have influence through President Barrow. Anything they want from these ministries, President Barrow ensured it happens. But with the other ministries, they have direct contact with the ministers. This again will continue. There are things things will be coming out, and we're going to relate that not today, but we're going to relate that today. The parastatals, the Central Bank of the Gambia, they have interest and influence. The Gambia ports, they have interest and influence. Social Security, they have interest and questionable influence, interest. GRA, they have interest and control. Civil aviation, they have interest and control. NAVEC, they have interest and control through NAVEC and GAM Petroleum through the president. Through the president. We'll get to that. What does this mean in parastatals? Remember the issue with Megabank. Megabank is a bank that the government, I think, was called Bank PHB, a Nigerian bank that was in the Gambia, and they make deals and give out too much loans, and they become a bad. I mean, a lot of bad. They have the bank could not operate again because of the amount of bad loans they're giving out. Then the central bank have to intervene in order to put it into receivership and make sure for the interest of the consumer. Because of central bank is mandated to do that. But central bank have to use the consumers' money, the taxpayers' money, in order to buy the bank, take over the bank, take care of the assets of the bank, and to put the bank again to profitable. The bank paid, they named the bank the Mega Bank. Mega Bank at that time became their brand sheets become the best because it was everything was written off. Start fresh. They did not sell the bank. They could have just sold the bank from there, but they kept it and operated. And this is what is happening now. That bank, Senegalese, this unscrupulous Senegalese businessman wanted to buy it. And one of the meetings that President Barrow was invited, the then the governor of Central Bank, Mr. Jammeh. That's where it happens that Mr. Jammeh has to leave. He wanted to sell this bank to the Senegalese. And Mr. Jammeh said, sir, if we are to sell the bank, we have to make sure we do our due diligence, and we have to make sure we follow the due process. We cannot just sell the bank to anybody just like that. And the president should not determine who will sell the bank. The people should come forward who have interest, and what determines it is their they have to qualify to run a bank. And he said that if we don't do it that way, we have problems, and the problems might come from the person we don't even know our backgrounds. Our credit rating will be affected. The international community would not be happy with us, and Gambia would be seeing it as a laughing stock. Barrow was angry. Literally, the governor said to you, I'm not going to do that, it's not right. 2 months after 3 months, the governor was taken out. The governor was taken out is proof. This is reason and other things. Now, the same mega bank they're still trying to sell. Um, the the ports, the ports, there are people, agents, Senegalese agents that represented interests. One of those that group was Senegalese group agents were representing a French company. I forgot the name of the company, but again, they have people in the Gambia whom I forgot because there were three. You see, there was a time where in the board, I don't know now, the board of that the board that was looking after the ports, there was about three groups. One group was supporting the Chinese. One group was supporting the French. One group was supporting Dubai World Investment. Three groups, and you see how the cartel works. Now, this these same entities, the Chinese had Senegalese influence. representing them. The Dubai will have, the French company have, and from very reliable source, the Senegalese government had interest to determine who takes over our port. Technically, what the Senegalese intelligence were doing, sabotaging Gambia not to do things right, not to have the best company to run the place. In order, Bolloré, thank you very much. The French company was called Bolloré, thank you. In order for our port to dip down and they take over. This is a fact. But that's interest they have. At that time, the reason the Cambridge was taken out from ports, it was that contract. And the contract was signed with the Chinese. Tamberu was not happy, and some board members were not happy. But there was this contract they wanted to sign with the Chinese, and that Chinese contract, Tamberu was not happy, some board members were not happy. But I am not saying that the board members were not happy because of it was not only best for Gambia, because some of them were compromised. They were taking, they were expecting something if the deal have gone to another company. You see, we have this. This why I say it's important to avoid this state capture. Most of the people that sit our boards are compromised themselves. They are looking after their own interests, not our interests. But end of the day, Bailan and Job, they went to Dakar to sign a contract. Now I don't know where it ended up, but the board chairman of the board was Alpha Barrow, was not happy with that. And they, in fact, when they had a meeting, they said, even if the contract is going to go to the Chinese, we want these things done. And that thing was kind of a mechanism to control the procurement and control some aspects of the delivery in order that they minimize the risk that it going to that. But it did not happen. Alpha Barry resigned. Does it mean that his upright died? No. He was more of his interest. If probably the I think he was supporting the Dubai bit or he was supporting the French bit, but it was not because of the Gambian interest. It might look that, but what is in for the other things? That's why we don't know much. But these are things we should make sure we have the people, upright people to do that. That one went like that, and we have seen how they use Barrow for the Norway deals. How many deals do we have with Senelec? The due diligence wasn't done. It was more of a political person and others. You see, these are things they have. And in the case of social security, again, social security as liquid as it is, most Senegalese businesses are coming to the government now, saying that I have this project to bring to the Gambia. Do you know what they're doing? No, what they are not bringing anything to the Gambia. But this project is coming. They don't have money. What they're claiming is not true. We're coming with this project in the Gambia. We want to build this. But they want the state to guarantee that. And they will go to Barrow for social security because they know our portfolios. Okay, if we want social security to come into this, especially in housing, don't you hear twice? Didn't you hear twice they're talking about housing and nothing came out of it? Housing, the government. There was one they said that they laid a foundation stone for how many? Did you hear anything about it again? It was a lie. It's not easy to raise this sort of money. Now, what they wanted is to get social security, go in there, and these businesses are very risky. You might build them and not have the customers, and money goes, and other things are. And what they do too is they want to borrow, they want to use places like social security, they're liquid to come as a guarantee. They so that they can go and borrow. When they go and borrow, what they could borrow, anybody could have them borrow, but they need a guarantee. When they have that guarantor. They go borrow, they have a kickback from the borrowing. They serve as agents. They don't care whether the project finalized or not. What they want is that kickback. That kickback might be 3%. That 3% might be $250,000, $300,000. That's how they live. And now you were sure. How many times did we hear? Yaya Jammeh said, oh, a factory was coming here and didn't come. Do you remember the power plant that was meant to come to Barrow? Do you remember the power plant, the Canadian that was meant to come to Combo South? Did you remember the fertilizer plant? Did you remember? And do you know that most of these people have a sort of a guarantee or something? Do you remember that hotel? You know, and they use these things. Either scam other financial institutions or raise this, and that's what they do. Gambia government has paid quite a few settlements because of the government have signed as guarantors for something. It failed. Now they want social security for that. You see, these are things that are happening, and we should be careful. The businesses, I said, not yet confirmed. Some business people are mentioned, but no evidence is advanced to support the involvement. So it will be unfair to mention their names based on speculation. Some businesses are like there's something going on, negotiations going on or something, but it's not finalized. We're not after that. That's kind of a private. Until it becomes something that is going to affect us in detail. We have the details. We're going to come like that. We're not going to speak about those people. My advice to nationalistic Gambian citizens in the position of authority or with business influence to be very careful with their interaction with the Senegalese intelligentsia. Be very careful engaging the following people, especially those of Senegalese background, not creating xenophobia. What I said is the intelligentsia again. As I said, these people are not the entire Senegalese population. They are not entirely working for the interests of Senegal. They are working for their own interests. They are kind of a group of people, intelligentsia. We call them as an intelligentsia. They are part of everything. Why we should be careful that I'm calling for nationalistic Gambian because these people have made so. A lot of nationalistic Gambian lost their jobs, positions they have, virtue of what influence they have on Barrow. They want deals done. They have already give money to Barrow. They make sure that the deal goes on. Now, if Ben Suarez is the MD and it's an obstacle, Barrow would have to take Ben Suarez out, not to be the obstacle. Barrow doesn't care. But again, how do they get some of this thing done? Not only they go to Barrow to influence Barrow, they might people who are giving them what they want, they might get it in different ways. They do go to MDs, they do go to financial guys, they do go to government businesses. And how do they do this? They entrap them, they get them into something. And this, as I said, might be your love interest, your activity, your love interest. These people will entrap you, get you into relationships. And the relationship, that's why I said it's not unique. I said not only Senegalese, but even the Gambian intelligence. But this is more of the threat coming from this thing. I mean, marabouts, most marabouts. Look, I dare even say all marabouts. They are an intelligence. You'll be surprised. Intelligence agencies use marabouts in order to do this. But intelligence, marabouts are part of intelligence. You see, marabouts want all the good things in life. And you think they just sit there and pray to Allah and it comes through the window? No. They have connections. They interact with clients. And who are these clients? They are not the only hardworking people. No. Hardworking people barely interact. No. It's mostly people who involve themselves in things that they need divine interventions. These are the main clients they have that goes to them. That's why you see the Marabouts afford, they sit at their homes and afford the big vehicles, big compounds, and pay for universities, their children, and everything. They are part of our problem. They are part of intelligence. And as I said, the same way, the same way they subscribe the president to Marabus, they subscribe this permanent secretary to Marabus. They subscribe this MDs to Marabus, financial directors to Marabus, or other people to Marabus. Tell you, man, my domi di wala suma mbok fin again, set class within quarter photo. They do also those things. Be careful what you get into. Careful with doctors. The doctors are part of an intelligence. When you go to Senegal for treatment, what they do, some of these people, even for their doctors, are chosen by these unscrupulous business people because they build a relationship with you. They build a relationship with you. I mean, the areas you interact, the areas you do things, you have to be very careful because I don't want to get to certain things, but you become vulnerable in certain environments. You compromise yourself. And when you compromise yourself, you become weak, and people will take that weakness to their advantage. You end up doing things that you might not naturally wanted to do, and you end up doing it, and it becomes a detriment to our country, to yourself and our country. That's why when you have responsibility, be very careful. These unscrupulous people, they know how to get things done, and they get things done. They don't only rely on Barrow. That's why we should not only hold Barrow to account, but we should hold people that we have in position of power to account. I said the above mentioned ministers, civil servants, and managing directors are the most corrupt officials in the country. They are laundering their loot proceeds to Senegal, owning properties, businesses, and operating bank accounts. Some are married to Senegalese citizens to protect their investments for when a new government take over. You think some of the investments now that some, and now even the middle management Gambia, unscrupulous governments are investing in Senegal. Meaning people in government positions. Go to chess, go to both. People that know, go to chess, go to both. They are quiet. They have their properties there. Some of them cannot afford properties in Dakar, would go to these places. But some of our ministers go to Dakar and see properties they have, their business accounts. They're running their life and everything there. And they end up getting married, and the influence widens. This is a situation that we are now, and these corrupt people are. This is how compromised Barrow is, and technically, what they're doing is not what Barrow is doing. The, most members of that cabinet, probably 70% of the cabinet, are doing the same thing. They own properties and everything in Dakar, and the same thing with managing directors and different people. They are doing the same thing. Now they're looting country. You call them Sampataka, run accounts and everything. So yeah, they are doing it in the Gambia, but they are safety net. They're doing it there because especially now they see that most likely Barrow is not going to win these elections. We have to be very careful. Before they were doing it to keep it away from the IMF. Now they're doing it to keep it away from us, knowing that they will be held accountable. But that doesn't mean that they're going to run away. After the next government comes, they will try to take over the government as well and control it until we stand and make sure that doesn't happen. I said we managed to destroy note. I said no. We managed to disrupt their operation plan for their Dubai trip. Now they are regrouping and changing their approach to accomplish their goals. This was the main reason for Barrow to visit the Gum Petroleum Depot. We are still waiting for more information to confirm what their plans are in taking control of the site or sabotaging our national interest. We are tracking their operation using our professional experience and with the help of patriotic citizens working within the system. I have to explain this. Information comes from the president's office saying that you are right. The president did not go to the Gum Petroleum for the interest of the people. And he didn't go there for anything else, but they're trying to do something. Can you look into it? You see? But I think this is what is it. That's what they said. I don't run with that. I come out there and say this, but we're looking into it. Then the power of social media does the rest. We have our people that we rely on that will know Ghanaians. We go and talk to them. What do you think would be happening here? What is happening here? We try to use our logic and their experience and so on. But all of them come, oh yeah, work it out and works out, and we have find out what has happened. That's why I say professional background tells us how to do things, and with the help of others, we get things this thing. But we are disrupting things. We don't want things to go on. We want to stop it. That's why we're doing it. We said that the case of the trip to Dubai, we stopped it because it wasn't good for the nation. Barrow again did the same thing. Barrow said to us that he was going on a private visit, invited by members of the royal family. That can't be private. I go to, if I said I'm going to private visit, if I was a minister, not even the president, minister said, I'm going private visit to Dubai, means that I'm going to friends and family. But the minute the president said he's going to meet another sovereign state, that's not private. But not only that, you have a business entourage, big business entourage. You have people go, the state was completely compromised and involved in this. And we knew some of the issues they were going for, others were not clear. But not only that, the most dangerous things were there are other illegal things that were meant to happen in the trip. We did what we meant to do to disrupt it, and it happened. We talked about it that it's going to happen before the president comes out to say he's going to travel. They said when they said they were going to travel, they didn't tell us why it was. We come out to say that these things are not right, and in fact, what they said wasn't right. What they said is happening in Dubai is not happening. What they said, who they said invited in Dubai didn't invite them in Dubai, and who were the people involved, and that exposed a lot of us going, and I'll get to that. But now they're trying to do something different here, and I will come to that. Why I will come to that? I have mentioned Idiot. I have mentioned Mohammed Dia, and it touched some nerves. I'm going to address that. It touched some nerves. I'm going to address that. I'm going to put it more clear for people to understand. I have my integrity to protect, and I have no reason to go after anybody. But I would not be quiet, knowing that someone is involved. It's something that's not of my interest. My interest means the state, the interest of the people, not my personal interest. And my personal interest, in fact, I'm not required. If you want to be quiet, please to be that. But nobody keeps me silence. That trip, they were there. What they went for, we're not going to speculate on that. It did not happen, but we know that they were there, and we'll talk about things that we know about. This, the main reason Barrow went to that depot, he did not tell us. He says we were going to inspection. It's not new. Barrow has been doing that, and we'll get to that detail. But this is the main reason for Barrow to visit the Gum Petroleum Depot. We are still waiting for more information, and so I'll give you that. But we don't want them to hijack it or sabotage it. What I mean by sabotage, when you do something to make things not run effectively, you might not steal from it, but you disrupt it in a way of make it not work properly. For what interest? So that you will not be competitive. You see, we have to accept that we are a sovereign nation. We might have everything the same as Senegal. We might share most of everything the same, our first cousins and everything. But when it comes to a state, it's called a sovereignty. We have two different sovereign interests. Our interests should be mutual. We should mutually develop our interests together to interact because we need each other. But they are not going to do that for us. They will pursue theirs. It's up to us to pursue us. If we turn around to be shut in, they will shut us in. And I'm not blaming them for that. I blame us for this. That's why I said sabotage. Sabotage can be in many forms. And this, but we'll get into details. Remember, I let me reference this. Almost 2 years ago, Adam Barrow went on an announced sightseeing trip around the Tourist Development Area, TDA, accompanied by Tourism Minister Ahmed Ba. This they sold us a false narrative that they were looking at the development in the area. Can you guys remember 2 years ago? They went to that trip. We saw Barrow in Leb, I mean, and they would walk around the beach and so on. They sold us a story that they were looking at development. Ahmed Ba. Not only that, the real reason for the trip was to conduct a physical survey of this reserve land within the tourist development area with their Senegalese counterparts. In that trip, what you don't know, there were Senegalese counterparts already within that area who were part of that mission, but Adama Barrow and Ahmad don't want us to see them to know that Senegalese were interested in the land around that area. Not only that, they went to look at the land around that area. What happened after? We'll get to that. Remember, at the same time, from that day, they went to a boutique hotel. I forgot the name of the boutique hotel. The boutique hotel is owned by a Gambian, um, I mean, Seka, Pamusa Seka. That hotel is owned by, they went there. Pamusa was in Muslim high school with Barrow. They went there. But they turned around to say that by accident, Barrow met the Senegalese ambassador. That's a lie. The Senegalese ambassador was expecting Barrow. They don't want the Senegalese ambassador and other people who were with the Senegalese ambassador to be in Barrow's entourage. They pretended as it was a coincidence that the Senegalese ambassador was there and Barrow visited the area. They went on a scouting. Today, after 2 years, the entire land of reserve land is gone. It's owned by different people. And Ahmad Ba have sold so many with Musa Garame, so many to different people, Indians and others, different people. But some of these Senegalese enterprises too have some of those land. And Barrow have benefited in all the sense. And remember now, after the trip, the entire land bank reserve for future development have disappeared, shared among themselves, and we saw recently an announcement of the mysterious signing of a 100 million hotel with a Senegalese businessman, a close associate of Macky Sall. Didn't we see that? Didn't we see recently the signature of that signing of that decision? It was that trip. What Barrow, when Barrow said, I'm going somewhere for private decision, is not true. Again, remember 2 years ago when I alerted Gambians on the deal surrounding the extortionate tax levied at Banjul Brewers, Banjul Brewers Company that operated in the country for over 40 years, but out of business in the interest of Senegalese businessmen. Again, 2 years ago, I came out, I made my post because I got the intelligence, I got the information that Mambure Njai is taxing Banjul Brewers out of existence. They don't want Banjul Brewers to exist. Why? Some people started to speculate. Or because of the IUC or it's massive nonsense. Senegal hosted the OIC or whatever it is. The OIC provided the King Fahd Hotel. Go and see the champagne drunk at the King Fahd Hotel. Most of the guests of the IOC drank champagne at the King Fahd Hotel. Don't get me to crap that because of OIC, OIC. That's not reason. It doesn't make sense. It came out through my findings. No, they want to lock it off because of there are certain people, brewers in Senegal, or people that have interest in those banjo breweries will end up operating banjo breweries out of our duty. So when I said it, I know it sounds crazy. I have people say, no, bro, blue motor. I'm okay. But why do you think it doesn't make sense? Mamburi knew. Mambo is not that stupid. He knew that you cannot expect a business to pay that much of tax and that business to thrive. The business have come out to say that we cannot sustain this. They complied, but they said they could sustain. They went to Amadou Sani, who was the industrial minister, trade minister, and Amadou Sani wrote a letter, we saw the letter, saying, appealing to government that look, this company is going to close. So many jobs and the importance of this company. Creating jobs, not only creating jobs, but it's a stimulus to our tourism. It's improve. I mean, it's part of the tourism development plans. It is a stimulus. No, it closed, and we said it happened. It happened, and now Julbro and the other people saying, yeah, we should not even encourage alcohol. Why you guys? You see, people do things deliberately because they want to support the government. Well, yeah, we should not encourage alcohol nonsense. Who encourages alcohol? Did it stop the importation of alcohol? Does it stop the availability of alcohol? What other regulations did we have to discourage alcohol consumption? Discourage? Did we have any regulations to educate the people about the ills of alcohol? Did we have any laws that discourage alcohol consumption? No. Then it was not anything to do with that. It's not to do with religion or anything. It's just to, I mean, serve the interest of this, and it happened. And I said, hope Gambians will take us seriously now before it gets too late. They have bleeded GRA dry. How did they bleed GRA dry? I'll tell you. They are aiming onto the Banyu ports, the Unum Airport, Gum Petroleum, and the land around Bonto Station. There's land around Bonto Station. There's some Gambians and scrupulously Senegalese going around to capture the land, saying that they have development with some Arab guys. It's a lie. That's a strategy again they use. That's called land banking. They're holding onto prime land. And that land would be used as a collateral to access funding or to, to put in as part of their contribution to a business. That's why it's important, Gambians, we do things right. Make sure we use our institutions right. Guide parks should make sure they look at every investment that these people have, what it takes. We don't have enough land for that country. Every land of the country is gone. Do you know how many people have been given land in that country since Jamaica, Barrow came to power? And those people are holding onto the land, and God knows what they're going to do with it. The last time was Jinak. We fought that Jinak issue. They went and saw the presidents and everything. I did my investigation to find out that company. It don't even exist. It was using a postal services in Mayfair. Postal service in Mayfair. Anybody can do that. The company headquarters they talked about did not exist. I checked the address and then went to Google Map. It was a residence area. They went and gave the impression that they're going to bring a billion. Went through their website. They have never done anything. Anything. They've never done any contract or anything. They said they're going to invest $1 billion to power station and all those nonsense. And the government was ready to give them that land. We fought that. to expose them who they are. That's what stopped it. Now, these people would be doing the same thing. And we'll get to this. How did they bleed GRA? GRA now, because not only the corruption in GRA is absolutely corrupt. Yankuba Dabo to drown, absolutely corrupt. I'm not saying everybody, but the institution is absolutely corrupt. But the heavy tax bill that should be paid, these people are not paying. Wage is not paying the tax bills and others. And these people are the people importing. But the small Gambian businesses, medium and small, are taxed dry. And most of these people are exempted or given privileges which are not even right for them to evade tax. And some of these things they import it into the country to say that it's going out of the country to be so they're lying. This is how they put most Gambians out of business and they control us. That's why we said, and these are the same people supporting Barrow. Now, we've seen that evidence. Let's come to this thing on the gun petroleum again because I continue with it. I'll get to it. The gun petroleum. When we talked about it, I said Barrow did not go there just because he wanted to go there to check oil. It's a nonsense. It was a decoy, just as he did a decoy on saying that he's going to the TDA and it was about land. Just as he did a decoy that he said he wanted to go to Dubai for private visit when he was with business entourage, and we know oil and other things were meant to be discussed, and the port of Banyu was meant to be discussed, and other things and signing were meant to be done. We exposed everything behind that decoy. Just as he went to Congo, not even telling them to the last minute, calling them for private visit to Congo. And he did. And what a place. How many? Just recently, he went to Bissau. And this Bissau thing is important here. He went to Bissau private visit. Remember a few months ago. That's all he does. Barrow doesn't care. All he cares is money he has. And the rest is something else. Now, he has this Senegalese business people, and he has some Gambian businesses. We call the Gambia Economic Cartel. And some of these Senegalese businesses now are linking up with Gambia Economic Cartel because of this. Probably the Gambia Economic Cartel does not even realize this. The only reason this Senegalese cartel is getting to them is because of the anti-Senegal sentiments that's brewing up. Now they want to use themselves as cover. And two, the Senegalese cartel have realized that Barrow is not likely to stay. Now they want to get into this Gambia in the economic cartel in order when time comes in, next government coming, they can use these people for the state capture. Because we have to go and look at the history. How did Senegalese business people become part of the state capture? We had a state capture before, and Senegalese were not part of it. Now, we'll get to a bit of it. But during the impasse, Barrow went to Senegal. That's where they had the opportunity to put that so. With the Waggers, the different people, they had the opportunity. It was easy for them. A lot of these people went during the past going and giving Barrow money and talking to him, introducing Barrow with marabouts and others. And some of them started to identify with Barrow because of uh, they use that. Some of them will come in, oh, we Hal Pular, we are all Hal Pular. Some of them will come, we are all Salahulis. Some they come and they do that. And they got that in Barrow. The only good thing that Barrow is not known to be a womanizer. I tell you, if Barrow was a womanizer, they would have gone through that too. But they use marabouts and they use tribe and they use money to get Barrow. And that's how they become part of it. And they come to the Gambia and they got what they want. Waggers and others, they got what they want. Now, before we go to the petroleum, I want to try this a bit. I mean, about the Gambian economic cartel. It has existed before. As I said, it's been before. Different people have acted in it. During the Jawara days, they were there. Gambians, Gambian Lebanese, Gambian Mandinkas, Gambian Wolofs, Gambian Fullers, Gambian different. It's nothing to do with tribe. It's not nothing to do with nationality. It's all about themselves, their interests. I want to make this clear. But I know that because we are people that relate to our people according to our identity, it becomes that. But it should be about the detail of why they do this for themselves. During the Jawara days, it was through the PPP connection. And that's how they get access to commercial bank, access to monopolize some businesses, importation of rice, importation of sugar, importation of this, then they build a cartel. Now, what they do is they can get things in volume. They can get a whole shipment of rice and control the price. I mean, they can avoid tax. They can do different things. At times, they can bring a whole shipment of rice and sell it at loss. They will not even make profit, not that shipment. But the next shipment coming, there will be nobody else. Small businessman, this thing is a cartel. Now, it's only few of them that import rice. Now they determine the price, even though they're not paying the right tax or levies or whatever. I'm not talking about the tax on the rice, but there are other levies that if you have a shipment that you pay and other things. These are the way they do monopolies. But now, coming to Jamaica, and now what's happening here? And I want to touch on, um, let me give an example because I've named, let me leave that. Well, I'll get it to the right point. Okay, let's move here. Now, these people have interests. They want to take care of. Now, Barrow went to the petroleum depot. Let's explain, just to show you. Yesterday, when I got the information, I said to them, I have not got all the information. I'm looking for the information. I want to understand what are we dealing with here? Because some people are speculating. That's why I said the economic interest or sabotage. Economic interest or sabotage. Either of them, we don't want. We want to disrupt it. Now, we have to understand what is at the petroleum depot. What do we own? Gambia or Gambians. Port Authority have a share. Social Security have a share. It's run by Gambia, by the Gambia government. Another company had a share called Star Oil, Malian. Malian company have a share. Now, what the company does is to store. The company is a storage facility. That's all they do. They don't import oil. It's a storage facility. Now, this shares control the storage. People who own the shares, that's what they do, and they get their dividend end of the period on the profit made for the storage. Where the real money is the importation of the fuel that is stored in those places. And where the money is not what is consumed in the country, but the fuel that leaves the country to go to Mali and Guinea-Bissau. That's where it is. The the company, Gum Petroleum, had Bazi and another guy, another Lebanese guy, had shares in the company. And they not only shares to the Gum Petroleum, but they were importing as well. They were importing and they have shares onto the storage, part of the storage they own. And there was a time even Bazi stole petrol. I think only to total. He sold petrol only to total because that was the control Basi had because of the story. Basi was literally running the story. He had about 41% shares combined with the other friend. That 41% shares have to be sold due to the sanctions and other things and the Ghana Commission. Many Gambians had interest, but major thing that government could have And what government did was government facilitated for Star Oil to buy the shares. Social Security wanted to buy the shares. Ports wanted to buy the shares. Government uh, Barrow was bribed. He facilitated for Star Oil to buy the shares. That's right. Now that's where it is. Now, if anybody goes in to want to own that company, that person can only own that company by buying shares from Social Security and buying the shares from the port authority, or and buying probably Star Oil. You see, this is how we're going to buy the company. Barrow cannot give it another. What Barrow can do is to put pressure on Social Security to sell, put pressure on these people to sell also. We are not worried about that. It's not likely to happen. It's kind of a little bit difficult. But what we find out is the Senegalese they were referring to is Wage. And Wage wants the control of the importation of petroleum fuel. That's what Wage wanted to control. We have information in Bissau now. Wage is controlling importation of fuel. Now Wage want to do the same thing. During the IMF time, that's why money was made, but that's major money. The main money is coming from there, the importation. The storage, they just pay for the storage. But you import, you sell. Now, if government wanted to make more money, government could have created a company that imports oil, not only store oil, imports oil, and government not only to make money again, government to have control over the importation of oil to make sure too our national security is not compromised in liberalizing things so much so that different people would own the importation. But that did not happen. Let's say now, certain companies are the one doing it. But during the IBM time, there was a monopoly. The IBM created a monopoly so that Basi would be doing it. And Basi import these things and make a lot of profit, and Basi would give IBM a kickback. We have had that in the Yana Commission. That Basi taking checks, Senate. Yeah, it was a kickback. That's what they call a kickback. Now, Barrow wanted to create the same thing. And he have powers to do that by the executive powers to push. Now what he wants us to do to give Wage a chunk. And if that happened, Wage would make a lot of money. But he would stop others from doing it. But again, it will affect the profits of the storage company. That's our company. That Gum Petroleum. Because if you open it to be competitive, your storage would always be used. Because you have now, if I kick people off and I have a monopoly, now the storage capacity might not be met. And once we are reducing the capacity, so nobody is paying us. When they use the capacity, they pay us. But if you have 10 importers, everybody importing to meet the capacity of the storage, they will pay. But if the storage stays under, if they just use the storage and not move the fuel, they will pay nothing. And it have a downside effect as well. The products are not being sold. This is where the problem comes when you give a monopoly. That's why it's good to live competitive. Now, Wage wants this, and obviously, Star Oil is not happy. Star Oil might be a Malian company, but there's a reason to Star Oil is taking fuel from the Gambia. That's a national security component. They don't want to solely rely on importing fuel from Senegal because they have boundaries and they do have existing boundary issues and they don't want and again roots because remember there's an insurgency in Mali. Probably roots closer to the they want to diversify. They don't want all their eggs in one basket. Now, if we give a Senegalese national or someone with a questionable background monopoly over our fuel. It's going to affect the profit that down the corporation has, the gun petroleum will have. But not only that, he's going to make so much profit, kicking out other Gambians who are practicing, who are importing, or other businesses, who business company, other companies involved, and he will be so wealthy, so much money that he will repatriate to Senegal. But Barrow doesn't care about that. Barrow doesn't care about someone else. But if Wage, if given a company like, I mean, that access to be the sole, or one of the sole proprietors, or rights of importing, he will make millions and millions of dollars. There's a lot of money in it. And Barrow would make thousands of dollars. That's what Barrow says. Now, let's come to this. This is where the problem becomes. And I went on. Let me open this. I said, update to Barrow visit to Gum Petroleum Depot. Khalilul Wage is alleged to be the Senegalese businessman fronting to buy the shares owned by Ports. This thing. That's what was alleged. Now we don't care bother about that. It's technically difficult, very difficult to do. And when he buy the shares too, he he owned part of the storage and the storage he have. But no, when we continue our investigation, say, "Oh, look, don't worry about that. There's not much money to make on that. There's money to make. They will bring a good dividend for social security and government and ports. But worry about actually what Reggae is looking for is to import. Just ask what he's doing in Bissau. Why is it easy for him to Bissau? Godfather is Macky Sall of Bissau president. Godfather is Barrow's president. You see again where it's coming. But Wage is not representing this thing. He's representing Macky Sall interest and his interest. Because of Macky Sall interest, people like Wage will go to the Sarahule communities to get them to vote for Macky Sall. And other people they influence. They give money to Macky Sall on elections. They campaign for Macky Sall. It's the same thing is happening in the Gambia. That's why we have a problem with it. We continue. Kaluluwagi is already running a petroleum business in Guinea-Bissau. They are looking out to control gum petroleum and create a monopoly in the sub-region by controlling the petrochemical supplies chain from Senegal to Mali and this thing. Yes, because when you control gum petroleum, you control the supply chain to Mali. Star Oil have only powers investment into this, and they buy fuel from the Gambia to take it to Mali. And Star Oil doesn't have a capacity of storage in Mali. What they do is they buy the fuel in tanks, they get in there, and the tanks go and supply the station straight away. Our investigations have proven that in the short term, Gambia have so much to gain. And Gambia should maximize that gain. In fact, Gambia should make it more conducive for Mali to import fuel from us. That would delay the project Mali have with Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is building a pipeline that is going to come from the sea. When these supplies come from wherever it comes to Ivory Coast ports, they're going to pump the fuel to go through those pipelines to go straight to Mali in a storage around the border in Mali. And if that happened, Mali would not come to Gambia to buy fuel. But the unfortunate thing for Mali, but good thing for Gambia is the insurgency in Mali. Now it's threatening that project. That project might not happen in 5 years. The timeline for the project was 5 years. It might go into 10 years. Gambia have an opportunity to make wealth, to build our infrastructures, to do things, for ourselves. But if Gambia government does not see it prudent to import fuel, fine. I don't know much of that. There might be other things. But Gambia government should empower Gambians and businesses that would do and maximize the interest that Gambia gets from it. That wealth will stay with us. But not to give it to people, especially people with very questionable background to have control over this and make more wealth because of Barrow is gaining from it to run his political campaign and grow as well. But if we do it the right way, more money will come to this country in form of investments and other things, and the people will get better off. That's why we said this is the way we do things. That's why we go against to talk about Barrow visiting the Gambia Freedom. It's not about petty politics. This is the backbone of what runs the country. We will get in there. Now, this is what is happening. Again, if we leave a Senegalese national monopolize that area, Mali will be very unhappy because they'll be threatened. Now, they diversify their source of getting resources. Now, that resource, if it combined by default to a Senegalese national who could be controlled. Look, as sovereign nations again, Mali might have a good relation with Senegal, but they had a history and they still have dispute. Now, for God forbid, if they had a dispute, and now Senegalese government can just press or bug it, sabotage, help us win this battle, sabotage the fuel supply to Mali, because it's a free enterprise. Now that's where national interest comes in, national security comes in. We need a control over the importation of fuel, for my thinking. Now, um, Waga is already running this picture. This is President Macky Sall is the godfather to both Barrow and the Guinea-Bissau president. He is using his influence to pressure Barrow for government to install the sale of the shares. That's what we've been told, but not the shares now. It's about this thing. Macky Sall will do that. Again, let's put this right. These are Senegalese businessmen. If they do well, Senegal does well. Today we are happy that a Gambian, today we are happy that a Gambian is playing in the Premier League. Happy for many reasons. He's a Gambian. He's flying the Gambia flag. Gambia now will be spoke about, just as other countries spoke. It's good for tourism and others. I wish him well. He's a brother, or he's my nephew. But you know why I'm happy too? A Gambian might be a billionaire, millionaire, and a billionaire. If a Gambian receives millions of pounds, the ripple effect, Gambia would benefit. That's how governments look at their citizens. When Senegalese do well outside, Senegal in the Gambia do well outside Gambia. But that's why we need to protect our interests. Macky Sall will be doing that. But Macky Sall is not doing that for this gentleman. No, only because of that. He is a friend of Macky Sall. He campaigned for Macky Sall. And he gives kickbacks to Macky Sall. That's why when we look at the issues between business Senegalese citizens and Gambia, we have to be very careful. The average Senegalese have nothing to do with that. We should not take any position or any way or feel that way. We are in a struggle with the average Senegalese. The problem we're going through, we might see Dakar to be beautiful and everything, see them have airplanes and everything, fine. Majority of Senegalese are not seeing the benefits, just as Gambia is. Then we are solidarity with the Senegalese people. Until we have liberation in Senegal and the Gambian people, we don't have that. It's a cartel. Cartel in Senegal, cartel in Gambia are controlling us, controlling our freedoms, controlling our prosperity. And in that note, they are undermining the stability of our countries. Our countries. We have seen since Pakistan came to government. Recently from that riots, look at the similarity of the riots in Sanyang and similarity of riots in Dhaka. The xenophobia that the Senegalese have on the French, xenophobia Gambians had on Senegalese in that incident because of something was not right in there. It's not that Senegalese hate, Gambians hate Senegalese, not just Senegalese hate French. It's the interest in that area at that time. That's why we should look at this properly. Now, I continue. The Gambian businessmen mentioned being part of Barrow main business cartel. Mohamed Jah, Mohamed Jah and Idi Diop. Mohamed Jah is the main contact, and Idi Diop is the technical man on the um, oil deals they are planning to operate. The reason they travel, the reason they travel on the failed Dubai trip as part of Barrow delegate. The other business, the other businessman men are Mr. Jigo and Mr. Ja. This Mr. Ja is called Hamidu Ja, Ja Oil of Ja Oil. I would say, let me take my time to explain this. Gambian to understand because some people jumped on because I mentioned Mohammed Ja. We have to take responsibility. We have to take responsibility. And someone referenced, yeah, when Mohammed was mentioned or blamed, used to be blamed during the Jame time, but Janneh Commission, nothing came about. One, people have to understand the scope of the Janneh Commission. What was the Janneh Commission looking at? Janneh Commission was not looking at the entirety of Gambian commercial, where we conduct our business. No, it was business linked to Janneh. But generally, for a fact, and I can sit down and debate with anybody, or to be sued to a court of law. I can point to areas that the only reason certain people are doing so much bad is because they are cheating governments. And they are doing that because government is facilitating that and they are benefiting government. I can do that for fact. I have no reason to be, they are envious, to be envious of anybody. I am not in competition with them or anybody. I'm not a businessman in competition. It's not that I cannot. I have a background of business, but it doesn't entice me. But let's bring it back again. During the struggle, it was a struggle as though we are defending Muhammad because we have seen and we understand they were under duress. That's what my take was. People like Muhammad were under duress. He was trying to do all the right things. During the Jawara government, he started um, to build, and he built, and we support that. As I said, I'm happy to see every government successful. We support that. And we have seen at the beginning when Yaya was bullying everybody and bullied Mohammed for the matter when Mohammed introduced the payment system. So about to launch it, Yaya Jammeh stopped it, make an announcement that it's going to stop. A few days after, we saw Mohammed went and gave vehicles, laptops, and mobile phones to Yaya Jammeh. The next week, it was announced as well. Yes, he might be under duress, but now again, people discuss as people saying that do more than degree, he played along. He in this thing, and we are not judging that. But from there on, obviously, he become part of the state culture. He benefited from the environment that the IJM created. His business thrived. And there's a connection to this. And I'll bring to that connection. And this connection widened. And this is what happened. Because when a government did not work right, people go into compartments, different compartments. That's where it comes into tribe, it comes into religion, it comes into region, comes into kind of class. And these things happen. There's something that we used to call at that time during the struggle the Kuntaya Mafia. I know most people would not know because the struggle, most people were not even listening. They were scared to listen to us because we were too radical. The Kuntaya Mafia. And the Kuntaya Mafia was headed by Aissatou Njai Sedi. And we know when they went to state capture. State capture almost, they took control of the University of Gambia, took control of many areas in the country. To the extent of leading the issue about secularism and the Islamic State. Listen, that's the fact. We've known the part of the civil service and everything was controlled by this Kuntaya Mafia. We call it Kuntaya Mafia. That's as we said, Gabani Mafia Road. That was the level. They become part of our problem. Position of Secretary General, position of this, they influence those things. They were in bed with the IGM. They campaigned for the IGM. The IGM won votes because of these people. They don't want to dig up. They don't want to dig up. And people will be surprised. I am related to these people, you know. I am friends with their friends. I'm friends with their family. Very. It's very uncomfortable to talk about Gambia. It's very uncomfortable to talk about Gambia and Gambians because we are so interrelated by marriage, by other things, by friendship. Be it Muhammad Jah, be it Idjo, they are best friends, they are family members. Some of them are my best friends, and some of them are my family members. Both of them. I never wish them ill will. But let's say it as it is. We supported Muhammad Jah and everybody else, I mean, become a victim, but again, he managed to survive it because of compound. That's what happened. System, everybody, these things, and they started to manage it. But when we had this change, we wanted to change. Politicians betrayed us. That's why I said change should be in our hearts. The business people and other people saw the opportunity to state capture. And I'll tell you what, Mohammed Jah was in fact late into taking part into the state capture of Barrow. When when the UDP were in power with Barrow, he could not see himself in. He lost influence. He was in the obviously he was in the parameters looking at things. Remember when QTV came on? When Mohammed invited Barrow, wanted kind of even to invite Barrow to come to open the Q facility. When he invited Mr. Kuruma, the president of Sierra Leone, Barrow was hesitant to even attend. There's no love relationship between them. Let me just tell people that when we put posts on social media does not mean that we are saying everything that we know. But I have to give perspective of this, people to understand. We all remember the how many programs were on QTV, very critical of Barrow or the government. The government, let's say. But to the extent it continued, to the extent even when UDP left government, it was still critical. And they started to say that program, what do you call it again, that panel program that Sirif Gomez was hosting with Alma Mital and other people. They were said it was a UDP platform. That was the reason, in fact, in the beginning it was promoted, but after relationships started to move. That was Sergio Brito interview was stopped because Sergio Brito had to resign. Other people interview were pulled off. We know of. I'm not going to name them. They already had an interview to come out. It was critical, and they pulled it off. Of Barrow, it was pulled off. Not Gis. That program, this thing was pulled off. And QTV become just part of the mainstream supporting this thing. But not only that, for that person who think that we are jealous or we just speculating, we don't have evidence, to the extent of, to the extent of Mohammed Dia and others wanted to form a political party because they were not happy, because they could not, they were boxed out. Things changed. Things changed big time. Things changed big time during the COVID. During the COVID, they were started in the United States. There's no flight committee. Mohammed Dia and others, they hired the plane. And who else was in the plane? President Barrow's family. Some people are saying, oh, then the relation. No. All the time, Sheikh Tijan Jigo was in the midst, is a friend of his family, not friend, family of the country. Sheikh Tijan Jigo is very careful. He tried to bring the his people, because Sheikh Tijan Jigo and Barrow, that's how Barrow, in fact, they benefited a little bit during Jammeh's time. Sheikh Tijan could not even push. Barrow was kind of reluctant because Barrow have this sense of insecurity. Barrow have this sense of, I have this complex of Gambians, successful Gambians, have this complex with successful Gambians. That's why people like Mohammed and others, they struggle to get into Barrow. Get into Barrow. Then they bought this trip, they came to the Gambia. Next minute, Barrow's son, yes, that guy that was in the States, who's mentoring him now is Mohammed. He's now on the internship at Mohammed's company. Not only that, Professor Carr, Professor Carr got his appointment to Switzerland as an ambassador or listening through Mohammed. Professor Carr, wife. You see, the same way it used to happen when they captured the agent, got his job at the state uh, policy analyst. Not that they're not qualified, but just shows you the influences. But my problem here is, what is this created? Why would anyone think that when we hold people like that accountable, just as we hold the others accountable? Hamidou Jah, the guy doing the petroleum oil, Hamidou Jah or something like that. Hamidou Jah. Look at what he does. Look at the monopoly he's had. He built a station wherever he wants. Pura cannot do anything. National Environment Agency cannot do anything because of that. Because of the kickback is just go he gives to Barrow because the political capital he tried to build for Barrow. And giving these people monopoly, what about the other Gambians? Where is the fair play? How do we empower other Gambians to get up? How did that happen? Now, my issue here is I'm not saying that Gambians should not do well. I'm not saying Mohammed should not do well, but we have to make sure. And I can tell you, we can go on to many things that's happening where businesses they operating and they encourage it. You see, you see, there's there's certain ethics that you have, morals you have to understand that the society you damage is not to your interest. But most things we do as African businesses and government businesses for that matter, we keep on blaming foreigners. Let's hold on to the economic cartel in the government. They concentrate on accumulating wealth and forgetting the effect of what they're doing to the people. What is it to them? It's not to their interest. If you take them to, if you open up a commission, they might not be held responsible for most of things, because for them, the commission is not looking at the morality of things. Commission is looking at the legality of things, how the law state them. All they do is they know that if it's not for the bank, it should be for the bank. But all the bank is doing is they do their assessment, due diligence to make sure they get their money back. Now, a bank can go into a business with government, knowing that the business is not sound. But why would they go in there? Their money is guaranteed. Government guarantee them, look, if this fails, we have a golden egg here. Go for that. And they hold on to that. Collateral. They go for that. But for Gambian business, if you take part of that, the commission is not going to hold you for that. You are a private enterprise, you have done this, and that's what you look after yourself. But you going into that business, you are harming the people. Now, we will blame the soldiers for doing that. Soldiers, police soldiers, we blame them. That is part of taking for corruption, but that corruption is not seen in the lenses of the scope of these commissions or the law. Because of the responsibility, it's based on the government to do their due diligence, to do their business, and the bank is not holding all up to that for that. That's why most people are surprised that some people were not called in the commission. No, they are business people. They made sure that they have not taken things service something that services they not rendered. The only companies called in there are companies that took money and did not render the service they promised to render. But doesn't mean that other businesses they don't call, they were on above this is no. Now, why is it this important? They are creating a monopoly and they control the system. And all they do is to make sure it's not that they love Barrow, it's not that they know that Barrow is good for Gambia or anything. No, they don't care about that. All they care about is their money. But if they have cared about the people and the country, they will not allow to do other businesses, and they should not say that small order can end order. It's the same thing we hold. You see, we hold the lawyers responsible for that. Ami Bensouda saying that yes, if it's good to hold Ami Bensouda on that, or Mama Singati on that, or Juf on that, we hold the business people on that. You went into the business knowing that it wasn't a good business, but you know that you get your money back. You don't care. And what did you do to stop it? No, it's not their responsibility. They don't. The only environment they care about is the environment that they make wealth, and forgetting that the way they make the wealth or the way wealth was made in the country without social justice, the crime they're talking about, the crime and things here, and other things, the corruption they ensured it happened. They took part in. Yeah, taking part in the corruption. That's why society is as it is. When we blame the youths and delinquents and everything else, we blame the security services for their unprofessional and other things. The business people are part of our problem, especially at present, the way they hijack power. They have hijacked power, and they are part of them. They are more interested in their business than what is happening to the country. Then we don't expect these people to bring about change. We are to bring about change. We what do you call it? We the privileged people. They are they are equally privileged or more privileged if you look at their wealth. But doesn't mean that they have more influence than we have. We just have to apply ourselves and dedicate ourselves, applying ourselves in educating our people and regrouping and work as a team in order to bring about meaningful change. We cannot expect that change to happen because of another political party have won the case, the elections. These people would still do the same thing. Another political party come, it's matter of time, into government. Either them, they might lose out. You see, it's a game. But other businesses too would do that. There are certain businessmen today, they give in to political parties. You think they give in to political parties because of they care about the political party or they care about Gambia? No. They care about the profit they will make when the party comes into government. That's why I said we should make sure this change, and this only change when we talk to educate our people and to empower and make sure we vote the right people in power, so that those people will not be captured. When either we contribute whatever contribution we can do to do this, but these people, Mohammed and others, can do a difference. This is an excuse saying that because I have the thing I'm telling you, I have this debate. We have this debate. No, because Gambia, look, Bulakenna, most of so to get up make some certain allel, you have to play with government. If not, government will fight you. No, that's not true. Mohammed is at a level. Even government fights him, that will not stop his profits. Yes, it might minimize his profits, but will not stop his profits. And it's a matter of time. In fact, he might even make more profit if he invests right and invest in the people. Even he will have get more people, and government would be scared and afraid of touching him. That can possible. But again, it's his responsibility to do the right thing. If he doesn't do the right thing, we have to call him out. And if someone is not happy about it, tough luck. It's a debate that we can have. But don't think that because of we are jealous or other things, that's silly. This is the fun. And I say that if you care about him, and I'm talking about not him alone, I'm talking about all these elites or people that call themselves elite or term themselves elites or the privilege. That country, just as Nigeria is today, and other countries are. Gambia, we are sitting on a ticking time. It's a matter of a fault line happening, something drastic to happen, and all hell breaks loose. And if society break up, people that have much will have more to lose. And that involves all these business people. We have seen the riots in Dakar. We have seen wars in Sierra Leone. We have seen wars in Liberia. We have seen wars in Ivory Coast. And these all countries went through state capture, corruption, business people, mainly. Corruption, mainly is the problem. Yes, the last perpetrators of this crime are the soldiers and bandits and cowboys within us. But the main architects are privileged people. These are the educated academics, technocrats, politicians, and business people, and leaders in our society. These are the people, and we have to make sure people, as influential people, we educate our people. Yes, our people have the power, but they don't have the means to use that power because they need information to have the means to use that power. Because the politicians are going to them, relating to them through identity, not policies that would make sure they do the right thing. They're not being educated based on policies. Now, if we can cut the transaction, we make sure we intercede into that, into help win the confidence of the people to do the right thing, then we'll start to be able to hold the the state to check and to keep or minimize the influence. We might not completely stop the state capture, but we minimize it. But that can only happen when people get off themselves, they start standing back and so criticizing to do something about it. If not, we'll go through the same thing. If not, we'll go through the same thing. I can tell you there are many. Right now, they're doing it. The amount of corruption in that country and that government with businesses and so on is so much that you cannot catch up with it. I posted one about Gamtown, asking the Minister of Finance and Minister of Telecoms, Telecommunications, Silla, and Mambo guy. What are they going to do about that? I'm not going to to accuse them of anything, but either two things are happening. One is happening or both: corruption and incompetence. What is happening here? Gamtel is completely gone down. Can you imagine? Yes, Gamtel was not in a good shape at all. That's why people that come on championing the IIM development tell me the main backbone, critical, is telecoms that can change an economy. Energy, telecoms. That's the main infrastructures. They pay for the roads and do other things and make other things possible. Create jobs, especially for the youth. Create innovation, technology goes with it. Yeah, but Barrow had 4 years and in fact completed what the idea was doing. Bam. To the extent today, why would a telecoms company with a license, with infrastructure, everything, with government, part of government, lose out? 4 years you cannot revive that. But you kill it off. Who talks about Gantel? But Gantel owns money to Commune. Commune who came into the market and was there. But literally went there because of many reasons. Part of the reasons they were repatriating their profit to Lebanon. You see, again, you see, that's why when we support Mohammed Yes and others, that's why we support them. But we hold them accountable when they go in Kahoot. They were repatriating profits. And you see, do you know some telecoms company are going for commercial loans of 300 million and paid off? Why Gumtel today? It's not even viable to take commercial loans to build the infrastructure to this, because of its management is wrong. Money is cannot is corruption is too much. The systems are not being invested in. The crowd invested is wrong. That shows corruption. That shows incompetence. And two ministers have and President Barrow, finance and telecoms have to be responsible for this. Mambo spent 3 years now in finance. Silla spent over 2 years in this. They have to help responsible. It fell again. But in this case with Commune is all about $3 million by Gantel. Because Gantels control the gateway. Now part of the money they receive, they should pay back the money, give percentage of money to telecoms companies, their money. But during the IGM time, this money was been taken by IGM. Now in that sense, Gambia government owes Commune 3 million. But Commune now have lost market share up to the extent that they have 140,000 subscribers. Commune is in financial problems. Up to today in May, Commune have not paid for their license. But Gamtel's only 3 million. Gamtel cannot pay them the 3 million. Gamtel should pay them the 3 million. Now, Gambia government, through the Minister of Finance and Telecoms, they have intervened. And what they want is for Gamtel to go and take a commercial loan. Gamtel can only have the commercial loan two places. Mega bank, government, us, taxpayers' money, and the other bank is called the Libyan bank because government have shares in them, and government have a little bit of influence, and they can influence them to get the loan. Now, why should Gamtel go and get the loan when they have to have collateral from government? Gamtel cannot be given a loan without collateral from government. Now, taxpayers are taking this up. Is it a wise way of doing things? It's up to us to think about that. And so I doubt it. Because Gamtel will never ever able to pay the loan. And what will happen? The taxpayer will pay for that. Incompetence or again, both corruption again. I am not saying this, but we have in reports that because of the kickbacks that Commune is ready to pay, these people want to facilitate this deal to go through so that they, Commune, will get their money. And I'll tell you, Commune is going to sell that license and get out of the practice. Commune is looking at selling the license. They will only secure the license to sell it. They cannot sustain the market. They're gone. Government should know that and intervene. Who else will intervene? But no. Now, this commercial law, that's what you want to do. But suggestion here, suggestion. Why can't government take the license and auction that license and raise money to pay off the debt? And if anything left, to pass it on to the regulators. Why cannot do that? No, that's not their interest. That's why, I mean, what we've been talking about here is this to explain the importance of the financial industry, the business people, the economic capital, how they control and capture. And this component of the governance here, the private sector is very important to liberate the content. Until we get hold of this, able to insulate these people to just do the right thing or to minimize their influence into our governance, we are doomed. They were part of what broke the PPP government through corruption. The ministers and permanent secretaries don't just only, or other people don't just take part in corruption alone. They need the business people to do that, the private sector to do that. The public enterprise cannot do it without the private sector. Now, Yaya Jame came and created something by controlling that with his power. They could not control Yaya Jame, but Yaya Jame went on to this thing. But Barrow came with another system by creating a permanent secretary and a gateway to access this influence. Now, the entire country is running into financial problems everywhere else because of this corruption and these people enable it. But these are the same people who are still ready to empower Barrow, to win elections. For what? To continue doing the same thing. But again, if Barrow fails, it's impossible for them to do because Barrow is the stress. Now, the conditions are so there. But now, what stopped them? If another political party goes in, you think that will stop them? They will try. The only thing that will stop them is us, the people, making sure we are able to hold our government and elect the right people that can resist their temptation of to concentrate on making wealth. If not, these people will continue. And this was the reason Barrow went to the Gum Petroleum. We talked about that. It's for Wage to have access and to be important for. And these are the other Gambian people. These are some of the Gambians, some of them. There are more. But now the most influential people are these people. And it's not done out of knowledge. Just as if anyone take the position of Amadou Samba, you'll be famous as Amadou Samba. If you do the right things, you do the same. I think they can learn from Dangote. Dangote is not corrupt, saying that he's not corrupt, but he knows how to play his card in Nigeria. Today, now, if you call out the most, one of the best businessmen they like in any region in Nigeria, because there's certain things impact he has in society, not only to take from them, but that impact, and he knows how to put his relationship with government. But these are the problems we have. Thank you guys, and have a good day. Thank you. Cheers.